In the hands of a skilled person, power tools demonstrate their flexibility and their speed. The only way to get the best out of your power tools is to make sure you know how to use them effectively and safely. Let's take a look at the safety points we should always keep in mind when using power tools. Electric hand tools are insulated to protect the operator from electric shock. Single insulation earths the metal casing of the power tool via a 3-pin plug. Double insulated or all insulated power tools are clearly marked "Do Not Earth," double insulated, and may also carry the double square symbol. If a mains power supply is unavailable, a portable generator may be used. But before connecting an electrical hand tool to a generator, be sure to follow these steps. Check if the electricity being generated is AC or DC, and make sure this is suitable for your power tool. Variable speed power tools must not be used with a generator. Never overload the generator. The total amps drawn by all equipment should not exceed the total output of the generator. Often you will need to use an extension lead. Always ensure that it is a properly made up 3-core extension lead. It's important that the extension lead can carry the required electrical current, otherwise it could overheat and supply low voltage, thus damaging the tool. Try to keep your electrical leads as short as possible. Long leads with low ampere ratings increase the risk of electric shock, because if a fault should develop, the fuse will not blow as quickly. If you are using a lead stored on a reel, make sure it is completely unwound before use, otherwise it will overheat. Never use electrical tools in the rain, and never run electrical leads through damp or wet areas. When plugging in an electrical tool, ensure that the mains power switch is off. Never walk around with your finger on the trigger of the power tool. Always disconnect the tool from the power source when changing accessories such as blades and drill bits. To avoid unintentional starting, always disconnect the power tool when not in use. After checking your power source and connections, make sure you're wearing appropriate clothing. Goggles or protective glasses should be worn at all times. Earmuffs will protect your hearing if using power tools over an extended period. Loose clothing, jewellery and long hair can easily catch in your equipment and cause injury. It's recommended that firm-fitting clothing such as overalls be worn and long hair tied back. Your boots should be rubber-soled. Many power tools produce dust particles. Always use a dust bag if possible. Otherwise, appropriate breathing equipment must be worn. Now we've got the tools safely powered up and ready to go. Let's see how we can ensure our power tools perform at their peak. Before you start, ensure the area is clean and tidy. Be sure to examine the condition of the material you're working on. Remove any nails or obstructions that may block the tool. Always allow the tool to reach full speed before starting, and always lift the tool clear of the work before turning off the motor. While operating, listen to the sound of the motor. A droning or slowing motor means an overloaded tool. Power drills are versatile tools which can drill a variety of materials ranging from wood to steel. The pistol grip drill is designed for one-hand operation. Some models have a side handle which prevents injury if the bit jams. Use the side handle when your bit diameter exceeds 8 millimetres. There are various types of drill bits, each designed for a specific job. Carbon steel twist bits are for wood and soft steel. Wood auger bits are for general carpentry. Spade bits can be used for soft timber and plastics. Carbide tipped bits are used for stone, concrete, brickwork, ceramic tile and cement. To insert the drill bit, hand tighten it in the chuck, then tighten it with the key. Then adjust the drill to the correct speed. As a general rule, the smaller the bit, the higher the speed required. Secure the work using a vise if possible. For metal, centre punch the drilling mark. Place the drill bit point on the drilling mark, hold the bit in firm contact with the work, and hold the drill at the correct angle. Now switch on the power and drill the hole, holding the drill steady. You'll need firm pressure for hard materials, and to avoid splintering, use a backing block. Keep the machine switched on until the drill is withdrawn. This will clear the waste from the holes. To avoid overheating, don't operate the drill over long periods at low speeds with large capacity bits. Sanding tools such as this disc sander wear away a surface by a rubbing or abrasive action. Disc sanders can remove a large amount of bulk material quickly and are best for sanding irregular surfaces. But disc sanders should not be used as a finishing tool for woodwork because the rotary action of the disc causes it to dig into the surface. To use a sander, grip the machine with both hands. Ensure you are well balanced and don't overreach. Allow the machine to reach full speed before it contacts the timber. Now tilt the handle slightly and bring the front section of the disc into contact with the work. Only use the front section of the disc, as this makes control easier and reduces burning of the work and clogging of the abrasive sheet. Move the sander backward and forward along the length of timber, making each stroke a little further across the width of the board. Be sure to overlap each stroke slightly. Maintain an even pressure and keep the sander moving at all times. Always lift the tool clear of the work before switching it off. Belt sanders remove a large amount of timber very quickly and are capable of producing a smoother surface than a disc sander. Before sanding, ensure that the timber is firmly restrained as the rotation of the belt directs its thrust backwards. And be sure to keep the power lead well clear of the work. Many operators drape it over their shoulder. Now grip the sander firmly in both hands and ensure you are well balanced. Turn on the sander and allow it to reach full speed before making contact. Lower the sander onto the timber with a forward motion so that the base plate sits flat on the surface. Be ready to absorb the forward pull of the machine. Guide the sander evenly over the surface. Without applying additional pressure, use long forward and backward strokes, moving gradually across the timber. Work along the grain of the timber, overlapping the side of each stroke. Keep the sander moving at all times and be careful not to tilt the sander as the edges of the belt will dig into the surface. When you're finished, lift the tool straight up. Turn off the power and be sure the belt has stopped revolving completely before laying it down. This orbital sander achieves a much smoother finish than the belt and disc sanders. In fact, the sanding stroke is just a gentle vibration. However, this gentle sanding produces a fine dust that can clog and overheat the abrasive sheets, shortening their life and efficiency. Inhaling this dust can lead to serious health problems. You should always use a dust bag on these sanders, or alternatively, wear appropriate breathing protection. You'll need to select an abrasive sheet that's right for your job. Be careful in your choice because too coarse an abrasive could damage the surface. Be sure the abrasive sheets are kept tight across the pad area. To operate the sander, balance yourself evenly. Turn on the power and let the tool reach full speed before making contact. Place the sander flat on the work and guide it over the surface, using only light pressure. With long, slow, forward and backward strokes, work along the grain, overlapping each stroke. As always, keep the sander moving evenly and don't let it rest in one spot. When finished, lift the sander clear of the work and switch off the power. The portable jigsaw is used for internal cutouts and curved work. Jigsaws range from the light-duty single-speed models for plywood to the heavy-duty variable speed models that can handle a wide range of materials. Most jigsaws work on an up and down reciprocating motion, where cutting is done on the upstroke only. Some jigsaws also have oscillating action, which is useful for fast cutting of non-ferrous materials. Most jigsaws have inbuilt blowers to remove dust from the cutting line. Be sure to secure the work wherever possible. Always ensure there is clearance below the work for the full length of the cutting stroke. Select an appropriate blade, such as these narrow blades if you're cutting tight curves. Then select the cutting speed. Use a high speed for cutting soft materials such as timber, plywood, soft metal and some plastics. Low speeds are for hard, dense materials such as steel. Place the front of the base plate on the work before switching the saw on. Ensure that the blade is clear of the material. Now turn on the power and wait for the saw to gain full speed. As you make the cut, keep the base plate in firm contact with the work. Use firm pressure but don't force the saw, and never exceed the capacity of the saw. To avoid damage to the blade, don't remove the saw from the work until it has stopped. Sabre saws work on a similar principle to jigsaws and are designed for two-handed operation. They are used for heavy-duty jobs such as cutting pipe or steel, or for cutting out sections in walls and floors. Circular saws are used extensively for a variety of cutting operations. All saws have a fixed top safety guard and a spring-loaded self-closing lower guard that keeps the blade covered. It's important that this guard is free to operate at all times. Saws are generally classified as light or heavy duty and by their blade diameter. Select a saw on the basis of power and depth of cut. The cutting action of the saw pulls the material tight against the base plate, so always keep the base plate in firm contact with the material. The material to be cut should always be held firmly in position. Before making a cut, support the timber so that the waste is free to drop. Then, position the waste to your right, allowing the weight of the saw to rest on the stock. Now, set the saw to the required depth. If chipping needs to be minimised, set the depth so that the teeth protrude 5 millimetres through the material. Place the front of the base plate on the timber. Line up the guide notch with the cut-off line. Then start the motor and make the cut, using steady forward pressure without forcing the saw. Stand slightly to the left of the saw to minimise the risk of kickback. For best cutting results, ensure the saw blades are kept sharp and correctly maintained. The portable power planer is lightweight and can be used for a variety of planing jobs. The cutter head is unguarded, so never place your fingers under the base of the planer. When not in use, rest the machine on its side with the cutters clear of the bench, facing away from you. The planing action creates a forward force, so always secure the stock, then adjust the planer to the required depth. Place the front base on the stock. Ensure the power blades are clear of the material. Switch the machine on, allow it to come to full speed and then commence the cut. As you finish the cut, keep pressure on the rear of the planer. When the job is completed, switch off the machine, wait until the cutters have stopped rotating and then lay the planer on its side, with the blades facing away from you. We've looked at some of the more common electrical hand tools in this program. And if you have any questions, ask your supervisor or teacher. As you've just seen, knowing how to use electrical hand tools correctly and safely makes any job that much easier.